the little girl cries, standing at the foot of Mary's bed. Come snuggle next to Mummy, Mary says. She crawls into the bed and snuggles up next to her mother. Mary keeps her eyes closed as she puts her arm around her daughter. She really is cold, Mary thinks to herself. Not for the first time since the birth of her child, she is filled with an overwhelming dread. The doctors told her that postpartum depression was normal, that it would go away after a little while. Maybe that would have been true if her husband hadn't abandoned her. Now, here she was, 4 years later, and she still couldn't look at her child without feeling grief and sadness. And now, guilt? Suddenly, as she gains full consciousness, a memory buried deep resurfaces in her mind. She remembers the cold night, the hypothermia setting in as the policeman wrapped a blanket around her soaking body. She remembers the sadness in his eyes as he told her they found her daughter still in her car seat. She doesn't remember driving into the freezing lake, but she did remember telling her little girl to stay in her seat as she climbed out of the sinking van. As all of this comes back to her, she becomes fully aware of the cold, wet child in her bed. The apparition begins to turn, her wet hair wrapping itself round Mary's arm. She opens her pure white eyes, water leaking out down her face. She opens her mouth and lets out a flood. She then makes a gurgling noise and whispers, "Why did you leave me, Mummy?"